Cancer. How to prevent the onset of cancer in 4 steps. Today I'm going to talk about what you need to do, whether you've got cancer or don't have cancer, or you know somebody who's got cancer, is how to create an environment where the cancer has a lot of difficulty growing. And this is what this video is about. I explain that in details in terms of the natural ways of creating an environment in your body that makes it impossible or very difficult for cancer to grow, so that when you are tackling it, it makes it a lot easier. I'm Alan Warnitz, I'm a nutrition expert, and I help people resolve their health with nutrition. So the 4 steps are: number 1 is environment, number 2 is the presence of calcium, number 3 is the presence of parasites, and number 4 is the presence of inflamed areas. So I'm going to take each one of them and I'm going to go in detail on how each one works and what you can do about it. So number 1 is the environment, which requires a 20% acid food and an 80% alkaline food. Basically, when food gets digested, the residues, the leftovers, releases either it's an acid form or an alkaline form. So there's a list of foods which has got the acid foods and a list of foods which have got alkaline foods, and you just have to balance it. You don't have to change your diet, but you probably find in most of the people that I've noticed, a lot of people are eating a lot of foods that are over 50% of their plate. If you look at your plate, over 50% of your plate has got foods that release acid. So what you need to do is just reduce the amount of acid foods. You do not stop acid foods, you need 20%. And the rest of your plate, 80% of your plate, should be foods which will give you alkaline, that will release alkaline foods. So in that, what happens is you got the alkaline, most of the alkaline foods are rich in electrolytes. Electrolytes have got calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Electrolytes helps with the electrical conductivity in the body. So when there's electrical conductivity, muscles work, enzymes work, your whole body is working. When there's too much acid foods, there's much less electrolytes, and that can stall the process, and you can also get the onset of inflammations, which I'm going to talk about as well there. So in this case, it's been known that no germs, viruses, parasites, cancer can survive, can live, can grow, and propagate in an alkaline environment. So when you create a 20% acid and an 80% alkaline, you are giving germs, viruses, parasites, and cancer a very small chance of survival. In other words, almost a 0 chance of survival. It can be, I can give you an analogy of like a swimming pool. If a swimming pool is green, basically the germs are growing and they are propagating in the swimming pool. What you do is you go and correct the pH. You correct the acid alkaline levels of the pool. The moment the pH is right, you've measured the pH and you bring the water to the right pH, the green algae can't grow. So let's call this the environment. Make your environment, your body, make it into a blue swimming pool just by correcting the pH, the acid alkaline levels, and you do that with your 20% acid and 80% alkaline foods. Just doing that alone, you can start creating an environment where your body will actually feel heavy, will feel sort of lighter, better, and will start. Also, the healing process happens. Healing does not happen when there's too much acid foods. Healing does not happen when there's very little electrolytes. So you need your alkaline foods, which provides electrolytes, to actually start the healing process as well. Okay, number 2, calcium. Calcium is a very important mineral in the body. When the calcium levels are low, cancer grows and goes out of control. So whether you got cancer or not, create an environment where there's calcium circulating in your blood, so that if ever cancer comes, or if there's cancer, it actually stops the growth of cancer as well. Because what does calcium do? It facilitates the communication between the cells. The cells need to communicate to each other, so calcium creates that facility, and it also helps with the nutrition information between the cells. The cells need nutrition and nutrients for them to be able to live and operate and create energy and grow. So calcium facilitates that. When there's low levels of calcium, the cancer growth goes out of control. So why does the body have low calcium? Normally calcium, what it does, it can actually go and deposit itself in your tissues and deposit itself in your joints. So when it deposits itself in the joints, that's when you get arthritis. So when it deposits itself in the tissues, then you've got like blood vessels actually can start getting clogged. So this is where you start having heart problems, because it blocks the blood circulation. So you need vitamin D. You need high levels of vitamin D to break down the calcium and to transport the calcium. You need vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 dislodges calcium. So if there's calcium in your joints and there's calcium in your tissues, vitamin K2 will go and remove it out of the joints and out of the tissues. So it puts the calcium back into circulation. So you've got a combination of vitamin D and vitamin K2, which works together to actually remove calcium and keep calcium in circulation. So when the calcium is in circulation, then you've got that communication between the cells that happens. So this is what you do. And vitamin A, it helps to control differentiation. Differentiation is where the body is able to differentiate between cells. So D, A, and K2 work with the cells, so that the cells are communicating. So when there's control, when there's communication between the cells, it's very difficult for cancer to grow, because cancer does not want communication between the cells, because it has to communicate within itself to multiply and grow. So there are calcium supplements you can get on the market, or you can get your calcium from all the foods as well. If you're taking calcium as a supplement, be careful not to take calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is actually chalk, very difficult to break down and dissolve. You need a lot of acid to dissolve it. So you take Calmax solutions which have got sufficient acid, or acid will be vitamin C or ascorbic acid or apple cider vinegar, or you get acid from lemon. As long as you've got this, and the calcium will stay in solution form for the body to provide the calcium in the system to help the facilitation of communication here and stop this out of control growth. Alright, so that's calcium. Number 3 is parasites. If the body has parasites, that can actually cause a lot of havoc. Parasites actually go and damage the DNA. It actually helps, it actually interferes with the mitochondrial damage as well. Same as radiation or x-rays as well, where it damages the DNA. Parasites do that. So when DNA is upset, is damaged, basically the DNA which is supposed to produce your normal cells, they call it the gene expression. The genes now express differently. It actually starts producing cancer cells. So when you have parasites and the gene expression changes, so you can actually now get the onset. Now cancer cells can start actually being produced. They start getting born. So how do you stop that? You've got to stop the presence of parasites in the body. If you've got parasites, you can go and do a blood analysis. You draw blood and you look at it under a microscope. You will see parasites. If you see that, then you need to there's certain herbs which actually help destroy parasites, which are olive leaf, wormwood, black walnut hub, and cloves. There's a special way of taking them. You've got to take them over a period of time, because the parasite grows, it multiplies, it lays eggs. The eggs will hatch, will give you more parasites. So it has to be over a certain period of time, so that when the eggs are hatching, the herbs are still around there to actually eliminate the baby parasites as well. So there's a whole process that you have to do to remove the parasites. Once you remove the parasites, the DNA won't get upset, and the mitochondrial damage will no longer. Mitochondrial damage means the mitochondria is the energy factory of your body. This is where your food, your glucose or your fuels, your fats go into the cell, into the mitochondria to make it into energy. So if that is upset, then your energy production starts going out of control. Or it's very useful for cancer cells to grow as well, because with that damage, now it can propagate into its own cellular structure. So remove parasites so that you don't have the DNA damage. Now, if there's been DNA damage, there's a way of actually resetting the genes. So what you have to do is that there's a copper peptide that you have to elevate. When you're young, your copper peptide is very high, so there's a possibility of resetting the genes. But as you get older, that peptide goes lower and lower. So there's a product called LifeWave X39. This is the product here. You can buy these. These are patches. Those patches in there's 30 patches in that sleeve, so it's a 1-month supply. That patch works with phototherapy. In other words, it uses your own body light, your own infrared light, to reflect it back into your body and actually elevate the copper peptide. So when the copper peptide elevates and gets higher and higher to a normal level of a 20-year-old, it actually has been shown to reset 4,000 genes. There's enough research. You can go and research copper peptide, GHKCU, and see the research that's been done on it, which actually helps reset the genes. So once you remove the parasites, you reset the genes with LifeWave X39, which elevates the copper peptide, and that the genes get reset, so that your chances of getting more cancer growing now has been reduced dramatically. So lastly, is inflamed areas or areas of old injuries. So if you've got inflammation, basically, let's say you've got calcium in your joints and you've got arthritis, so there's going to be inflammation there as well. So inflammation is not going, because that's where the pain starts carrying on. Or areas of old injuries. So if you've been a sports person, have had injuries, you've had operations, and these have not been fixed up, these areas also will actually will keep the inflammation going. So, and cancer spreads there. So as you get older, there's more chances of cancer spreading where there's old injuries. So what can you do about it? You can also, there's natural ways of taking anti-inflammatories. The anti-inflammatory supplements you can take, which is a combination of vitamin C, vitamin B5, omega-3, and a B complex. When you take those supplementation, it produces anti-inflammatories naturally. In other words, if you've been taking anti-inflammatories, cortisol, prednisone, all these medications, your body can actually make its own cortisol, and these are the nutrients. This is what you feed the adrenal glands to make that. So now you can reduce the inflammation in those areas when you have those supplements. Now while you're doing this, you can actually accelerate the process, the anti-inflammatory process, with another patch called the LifeWave Eon, AEON. This is the patch here, LifeWave Eon. This one helps with actually regulating the anti-inflammatories. So once it's regulated, and with using these things, those areas of old injuries now start becoming less and less of an effect, or less and less of an impact on the body. So there's less chances of cancer spreading there. So these are the four areas that you can. These are the four areas that you can work on to prevent the onset of cancer. Not hard to do, all natural. So create an environment, as I said earlier, create your body as a blue swimming pool by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your chances, if you haven't got cancer, there's less chance of you getting cancer. If you've got cancer, you can actually create that environment so that it makes it more difficult. Now, this is part of a series of videos that I've done on 7 steps to actually reverse cancer. So other steps are basically how to stop the cancer from growing in terms of structure. What is the cancer built of? How do you stop that? Cancer uses 4 fuels: sugar, glutamine, arginine, and ketones. How do you block cancer cells from using it? I've got different videos on that. How do you block the movement of cancer cells? There's a way, because a cancer cell will move from one organ to the next. How do you block the movement? And how do you build up the immune system so that the immune system now can, once the cancer cells are blocked, once you've created this environment, how does the immune system go and remove it? And if there's been any damage from chemo and other treatments, what are the different sort of alternatives to chemo? And with any damage, how do you use LifeWave X39 to go and repair, and Eon, how to go and help with the injuries and inflammations, to do a full restoration of the body and complete reverse, and bring you back to life, give you back your vitality, your longevity, and your energy. So these are the things that are possible. So this video is only about how to prevent the onset. You can go and check on other videos on how I explain the other 7 steps for you to get a full control and conquer cancer for real. Thank you for listening. I hope you've learned something new here. Please share this video if you know anybody who's actually suffering with cancer. You can subscribe to my channel, because I'm providing more and more content on different areas of health, and which you can look at and learn a lot of new things, finding natural ways of healing yourself using nutrition. Thank you for listening. I offer a 30-minute health consultation. It's free, so you can book the health consultation in the link. I will meet you. I'll go over whatever issues you've got, and then I will give you a pathway, a map, and direction on how to actually restore your health in a natural way. Thank you for listening, and I'll look forward to meeting you.